briefly about me, and then I'll get into some other things. I got hired by the fire department in 1992, and on February 26, 1993, I happened to be working that day as a brand new fireman when the Trade Center got attacked the first time, and had a lot of pride. It was like we beat it, we won with little damage, and the fire department took care of it, and everything kind of went back to normal. At least so we thought. On September 11th, I'm a fireman in the Bronx. How do I say this? I had the misfortune and the fortune of having probably one of the best days of the fire department and the worst day of the fire department happen within 24 hours. On September 10th, our firehouse was getting rebuilt. So we had been back in there for about a month, and they were having a big grand ceremony. And all the dignitaries, all the bigwigs, and really it was just a good party for us. But we were celebrating having that firehouse back open, and it was just a fabulous day. I mean, all the retired guys were there, all the regular guys were there, all the firemen for every company in the Bronx was basically there. It was excellent. And then the next day, well, of course, we know what happened. And I think when we finally figured it out, 17 people that I was partying with that day were dead the next. And the first person I'd like to talk about is Father Michael Judge. And Father Judge he was the fire department chaplain. And I had the pleasure of hearing his last homily at our firehouse on the 10th. He said his last mass on the 10th. And the following day, he responded. And if you see any of the videos, you can see him in the lobby praying, kind of talking to himself, but we know who he was talking to. And then the first tower came down, and unfortunately, he got killed. And there's plenty about Father Judge, but what a great man. Second person I want to tell you about is my friend Peter Befield. He was a fireman with me. He had just shy 20 years. We were both studying to be lieutenants to take the test. And we had a pretty good job. We had a pretty good job, which is a fire. We call it a job. And it was 3 days before, and he got hurt a little bit. So he was on medical leave. So he happened to be in Brooklyn at the medical office when the towers got hit. So all those guys, these guys were on medical leave. Roughly plus or minus 60 firemen that were off duty responded and died that day. Well, Peter got over into Manhattan, and 10 engine and 10 truck was a firehouse built at the bottom of the Trade Center when they started building the Trade Center. It was really right there, right under it. So anyway, he got over there and he was grabbing some gear, and he took the time to write a note and stuck it in a locker with his car keys, and that was it. So he knew what was happening, he knew what he was getting himself into, and he took the time to let his family know how much he loved them. So, and the third person I'd like to mention is Ray Murphy. What a great guy. He was a mentor to me. We did a lot of construction on the side. People may think we make a lot of money, but we really don't. So most of us had second jobs doing something. And so we did a lot of roofs and siding together. But like I mentioned, we had that big party the day before. So Ray was running a little late for work. Late for a fireman is you're not 45 minutes early. So he got to his firehouse. He had just been promoted. He was in 16 truck down in Manhattan, and their company was already dispatched. So he flagged down a police officer and another fireman, and the three of them drove down there, and his whole company made it out, and Ray did not. There's a iconic photo that was snapped of him after the first collapse, and he's like a single fireman, and it's just the back of him with his mask and just going. And then the last guy I want to mention is Brian Ahern. Now, Brian was, he was a fireman's son. He was assigned to our house, and his father was a lieutenant in our house before that, where pop time usually doesn't count, but for some reason, Brian was a special guy. He was Consumer Reports. If you ever wanted to buy anything, you'd go to Brian because he read Consumer Reports all the time, and he'd tell you exactly. I mean, it would take him 2 years to buy a television. But anyway, Brian's whole company, we really don't know too many details about 230 engine, except that they got dispatched and they all got perished in the North Tower. But I do remember the following day, on the 12th, when his 75-plus-year-old father and 3 other guys from Florida, they pulled up in front of the firehouse. And, excuse me a second. To watch this old man pull his old helmet and his old coat out, and the other 3, to go down there to find his boy, it was something I'll never forget. So with that being said, those are the people I wanted to mention. I could tell you this, it was, everybody lost somebody and everybody's got their own story. But it really was, you know, everybody mentions that day, September 11th. But for us up here, it was months and months. You know, it was one day that happened, but I mean, yeah, that's pretty much it. I just wanted everybody to know that when the news cycle changed and they wanted to change the subject, we were still down there digging because we wanted to bring everybody home. And unfortunately, we didn't bring over 1,000 people home, never to be found. So I think I'm going to wrap it up. And I guess one of my favorite people is Forrest Gump, so that's all I got to say about that.